One of the standard table spaces we just met was undo, and it earns its own chapter because undo is genuinely one of the most misunderstood topics in all of Oracle, and that's precisely why interviewers reach for it. It's a great filter. People who really understand databases can explain undo crisply. People who crammed can't. So let's put you firmly in the first group. The core idea is simple and even a little beautiful. Every time you change data, Oracle quietly keeps the before picture, so it can always put things back. Get that, plus the clean distinction from redo, and you've got a high-value answer ready to go. Let's define it. Undo is the information Oracle saves so it can reverse a change. Here's the mechanism. Every single time you modify data, an update, a delete, Oracle first records the old version of that data, the before image, into the undo table space, and only then applies your new value. So at any moment, Oracle is holding both the current state and a trail of what things looked like before. Now here's the key to a strong interview answer. That one stored before image isn't used for just one thing, it serves three distinct purposes. Weak answers name one, strong answers name all three and explain each. So let's make sure you can name all three, because that's the difference maker. Here are the three jobs. First, rollback. If you issue a rollback, or your transaction fails partway through, Oracle uses the undo to put the data back exactly the way it was. That's the obvious one. Second, read consistency, and this one impresses people. Imagine you start a long-running report, and while it's running, someone else updates a row you haven't read yet. Oracle uses undo to show your query the data as it looked the moment your query began, so you get one consistent picture, not a weird mix of old and new. Third, flashback. Undo also powers the flashback features that let you look at, or even recover, past versions of your data, which is the whole of Chapter 15. Rollback, read consistency, flashback, one before image, three jobs. Now the single most common undo question: how does undo differ from redo? The clean way to answer is by purpose. Redo records how to redo a change, so a committed transaction can be reapplied after a crash. It protects durability, and it lives in the redo logs. Undo records how to undo a change, so it can be reversed. It protects rollback and read consistency, and it lives in the undo table space. And here's the phrasing that sticks, the one that makes interviewers nod. Redo moves you forward to a committed state, undo moves you backward to a previous state. Forward versus backward. If you deliver that one sentence, you've answered the classic comparison better than most candidates ever do. Redo forward, undo backward, burn it in. How is undo managed? With automatic undo management, AUM, which is the default in modern Oracle. The way it works: you dedicate an undo table space to the database, and Oracle handles all the fiddly plumbing inside it, allocating undo space as transactions start, reclaiming it as they finish. You're not hand managing rollback segments like in the old days. So what's left for you to do? Really just one thing. Make sure the undo table space is big enough for your workload. That's the main lever you own. If it's too small, you run into the error we're about to talk about. So AUM means Oracle does the moment-to-moment management, and your job shrinks to sizing the table space appropriately. Simple division of labor, and it sets up the famous error. Central to sizing is a parameter called undo_retention. It tells Oracle how long, in seconds, it should try to keep committed undo around after a transaction has ended. Now you might wonder, why keep undo at all once a transaction is done and committed? Two reasons, and they're both from earlier in this chapter. First, long-running queries. A report that runs for 10 minutes needs the old before images to stay available the whole time, so it can keep showing a consistent snapshot. Second, flashback. To look back at data as it was an hour ago, Oracle needs an hour's worth of undo history retained. So undo_retention is the dial that controls how far back that history reaches. Set it too low, and you get the single most famous undo error, which is next. Here it is, the famous one. ORA-01555 Snapshot too old. If you've been around Oracle at all, You've heard people groan about this error. Here's what actually happens. A long-running query needs an old before image to stay read consistent, but by the time it asks for it, that undo has already been overwritten, usually because the undo retention was too short or the undo table space was too small to hold enough history. So Oracle can't reconstruct the consistent snapshot the query needs, and it throws ORA-01555. The reason interviewers love this is that being able to explain it, not just recognize it, instantly signals real experience. So say it plainly. Snapshot too old means the undo a query needed was already reused. And then, of course, you should know the fix. So how do you fix ORA-01555? 3 levers. First, increase undo _ retention so committed undo sticks around long enough to cover your longest queries. Second, enlarge the undo table space so Oracle simply has more room and isn't forced to overwrite undo prematurely. These first two usually go together. And third, the strict option, a setting called undo guarantee, which forces Oracle to honor your retention no matter what, even if that means failing new transactions rather than throwing away undo it, promise to keep. That's a real trade-off. You're choosing consistency over availability, so you use it deliberately. And a nice detail to mention. The Undo Advisor, which we'll meet in Chapter 16, can actually recommend a table space size to hit a target retention, so you don't even have to guess. Let's look at Undo Live. Start with Show Parameter Undo. It dumps the 3 settings that matter. Undo Management set to auto-confirms. You're using automatic undo management. Undo retention shows your target in seconds, here 900, so 15 minutes, and undo table space names the table space in use. Then, to see actual usage, $undo stat gives you a history in roughly 10-minute buckets, including the longest query length it's seen, which is gold for right-sizing retention, and DBA undo extents shows how the undo space is currently allocated by status, so config with show parameter, real usage with $undo stat. Between them, you can diagnose an ORA-01555 and prove whether retention or table space size is your problem. The Undo Advisor builds right on top of these. Let's lock it in. Undo is the before image Oracle saves so it can reverse a change. It does 3 jobs: rollback, read consistency, and flashback. Name all 3. Undo versus redo. Redo moves you forward to a committed state. Undo moves you backward to a previous one. Automatic undo management handles the plumbing, and your job is simply to size the undo table space. And the famous trap, ORA-01555, snapshot too old, means the undo a query needed got overwritten. Fix it by raising retention, enlarging the table space, or using undo guarantee. We keep mentioning redo as undo's mirror image, so next chapter we give redo its full do, plus archiving and checkpoints, the hinge that makes real backup and recovery possible. That's Chapter 10.